Welcome to the Gary Null Show, a program designed to enhance mental, physical, and spiritual well-being through science and the wisdom of the ages. Let us take you on a journey of empowerment. Sit back, relax, and get ready to change your life for good.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, I'm Gary Null, and today we have a unique approach to health. What we're going to do is we're going to show you how you can make enormous changes in your health. And it's going to be simple, nothing complex, and I'm going to take you through what we're doing wrong, the options of what we can do right, and then the ideal. We're going to make it simple. 15 foods that will change your life for the better. And then I'm going to show you how to make those foods delicious, nutritious, in fact, gourmet. You heard me right. You don't have to be a chef because we have brought in master chefs. We're going to see how they do it, and they're going to teach you how to make this easy. Let's begin. First of all, we have an epidemic of disease in this country. We're going to spend $2.3 trillion this year on disease. And unfortunately, after the war on cancer, the war on AIDS, the war on heart disease, the war on depression and diabetes and obesity, we have a medical Vietnam. We are not reversing in any major way any of those conditions. To the contrary, our lifestyle is contributing. There's no mystery about what causes illness. Just imagine, this is the first generation where many of our children will actually die before their parents. It's never happened before in American history. I'm not talking about dying from infections or some type of epidemic. I'm talking about dying because their lifestyle is so horrific that they won't live to be 77 or 80. They might be dying of a heart attack or a stroke in their 40s or 50s. You can have an epidemic of obesity and diabetes in children, including adult diabetes, and arthritis and heart disease, and expect them to live a long life. It's just not going to happen. These are the culprits. Take a look. Hot dogs, hamburgers, French fries, pizzas, different types of chips, cakes, refined carbohydrates, and colas and coffee and artificial sweeteners. These are the problems. Now, why are they problems? Because they cause inflammation. Now, how do they do that? Simple. Let's say that you have a hot dog. In order to eat a hot dog, it has to be cooked. In the cooking process, the proteins are converted into what we call heterocyclic amines. That's a chemical that comes anytime you really cook any kind of meat. That's a carcinogen. It damages the DNA, damages our cell. Then you have a bun. A bun is a refined carbohydrate. In order to make the bun, a chemical process occurs, and that process ends up with a product called acrylamide. And acrylamide is also a carcinogen. You drink a cola, you're absolutely overstimulating the body with caffeine, and the cola causes gross distress upon our digestive apparatus. As a result, a lot of people today have gastric reflux, mainly because of caffeinated beverages like coffee and sodas. And then we have a lot of people suffering from obesity. It's relatively simple. There's no mystery about it. Most people are overweight because excess calories coming in, not enough exercise to cause them to be burned off. And we accumulate them. And remember, there is no such thing as being a healthy overweight person. That is a myth. Because when you're overweight, you increase your likelihood of cancer, arthritis, hypertension, heart attack, dementia. All those things come, and depression when you're overweight. Because fat accumulates toxins. So the more overweight you are, the more toxins you're carrying around. So we want to burn the fat, get you healthy, detoxify the body, and the good news is we can do it. Now I'm going to give you a series of food groups. And these food groups I want you to include one a week. unless you're really going to go gung-ho, because it's an easy transition. Let go of one of these bad food groups per week and include one of the good ones per week, so you make a transition. Now, I'm also going to show you that everything on this table you can actually eat from healthy foods. Not even healthy, but spectacularly healthy. Living foods, the ultimate food, one that hasn't even been cooked. It's enzyme rich, phytonutrient rich, it's antioxidant rich, it's easily digested protein rich, it's rich in fiber and chlorophylls. The blood of the plant is chlorophyll. It enhances our blood. Yeah. So you're going to see that cake, I'll show you how we can make that cake without even using flour. Yeah. And I'll show you how to make a pizza that has no dairy and no wheat at all in it. It's all healthy. And I'll show you how to make French fries that have no trans fats or saturated fats or all that sodium. So it's not as if you have to deprive yourself of something that you really like. It's you have to be of a mind to make a transition from something that's not healthy, causes disease, and there's no longer a mystery. And by the way, don't for a second allow anyone in Congress or the Surgeon General or anyone else say, oh, we're not certain. Yeah, they're not certain. Whose payroll are they on? Who have they been influenced by? There's absolute certainty none of this stuff is good for you. It's all bad for you. What they don't know is at what day you're going to wake up and have a heart attack or stroke, or your joints are going to be stiff, or inflammation, or fibromyalgia, or macular degeneration because of the free radicals, because everything here causes free radicals. And free radicals are what attack the cell. Now you have anywhere from 64 trillion to 100 trillion cells. That's a lot of cells. One glass of alcohol can destroy 1 million brain cells, heart cells, liver, and kidney cells. Could you imagine if your skin were transparent so you could actually see right into the body? So everything you consumed, you could actually see what it does. What a difference would be our approach. I've traveled all over the world. I've met wonderful cultures. And in every culture, they have ways of helping people prevent illness or to get well naturally. And I've included those in the foods I'm going to show you. So we're going to shift our attention from this that causes disease. And by the way, don't ever, ever in your lifetime, even if you're 5 years old, don't ever expect the government to be honest and tell you this causes disease. You're dealing with billion-dollar industries, and they're not going to give up for a second trying to sell you something that the only outcome is going to be sickness. And they're supported by Wall Street. They buy the scientist. And therefore, when a scientist then says, oh, we need more studies, no, the tobacco industry played that game for 100 years. Oh, we need another study. We had 100,000 studies showing cigarette smoking was bad for us. Didn't stop them from trying to convince us to keep smoking. And I'm saying this is no better than cigarette smoking. All right? But here's the good news. Let's shift to the good news. Now, in front of me are 15 different types of foods. And each one of these plays a different role. And the key is the more variety you have in your diet each day, either eating it or juicing it, the healthier you're going to be. People say, where am I going to get my protein? All right, I grew up in a small town in West Virginia where everyone thought you had to have meat 3 times a day. So it was absolutely common for people to have 3 or 4 eggs, sausage or ham for breakfast. They'd have a grilled cheese sandwich or something for lunch, and they'd have big roast beef or 2-inch thick cut of meat with big fat around it. For dinner, vegetables were an afterthought. Fruit was only occasional. And then we wonder why nobody ever got younger when they got older, and no one ever looked or was healthier the older they got. And we expected people to have diabetes and be overweight. It was just accepted. But it was because we weren't eating these. I don't remember in my life ever eating black beans. I didn't even see them. Or black-eyed peas, or green lentils and yellow lentils and split peas and kidney beans. Nobody had this stuff, not where I grew up. And this is why all the people I grew up with in my family are dead. All my aunts, all my uncles, mother, father, older brother, only one surviving member of my family, my brother, and that's because he eats healthy. Now, when you eat beans, and there are over 65 variety of beans, which means you have enormous amount of options of how you want to make these. You soak them overnight, And if you use some vinegar in it and then you cook them, you don't get the gas. And you can make those beans and put them into a salad. You make them and you run cold water on them and blanch them down. Then in a salad, it's great. You can stir fry those with different herbs, use them with brown rice. What's important about all these legumes and beans is that they're complete protein. That means, complete means that they have all 8 essential amino acids. Now your body, your musculature system, hormones, these are made from proteins. Proteins are made from amino acids. So the amino acids in a hot dog and the amino acids in brown rice are virtually identical. Lysine is lysine, for example. Methionine is methionine. But I don't want to get my methionine where I can get growth-stimulating hormones, antibiotics. And if you knew what that cow was fed, including other cows, dead cats and dogs, roadkill, grease from restaurant grease traps, would you want to eat that? No, I don't think so. And the chickens in our society, they can be fed ground up cardboard. They can be found eating manure that's processed. I don't want to eat anything that eats manure. You are what you eat. What does that mean to us? I want to eat something that's rich in fiber, because fiber is what we're lacking in the American diet. I'd like to see us having between 30 to 50 grams of good fiber a day. This gives you fiber, B complex, and complete protein. There is no need for you ever again to eat anything with a heartbeat or a face. Now, I just interviewed Mr. World, and he had also been Mr. Universe. First, he doesn't use any anabolic steroids, no human growth hormone, and he is dynamically healthy. He eats this way. This is what he eats. And he gets his protein, and it took him longer to get the muscle mass, but now he's got it. So for any athlete, you don't ever again have to cheat by using that. So these are the foods that can give you massive muscle. And also think of the animals that are in the animal kingdom that are strong. Think of the elephant. It can live over 100 years. It's vegetarian. And the hippopotamus, and the rhinoceros, and the giraffe. And most of the diet of a gorilla, and chimpanzees. And think of the turtle that live over 150 years. Vegetarian. And the meat eaters, fast, strong, and live very short lives. I'm going to guess the average cat lives about 9 years in Africa. Even in captivity, they don't live that long. So this is what we need to eat. Remember, we don't have ripping and tearing teeth. We don't have a short, highly acidic intestine. We have a long intestine meant to digest grains, nuts and seeds and legumes and starchy vegetables. We have teeth that are meant to masticate, chew food properly. We have 2 enzymes under our tongue, ptyalin and amylase, that when you chew thoroughly, insalivate foods, allowing the carbohydrates to become broken down. And the medium in our intestine isn't that like a cat or a dog. It hydrolyzes our food, and when you take your time and you eat, and you really chew your food, you create what is called bolus. Then it goes into the stomach, and please do not have any cold beverages with a meal, because that can upset your digestive acids. It can dilute them. And that means you're not going to get fully digested food that goes into your intestine. And because we're eating real fast, we're eating the wrong foods, fast foods, we're chew, chew, swallow, drink, chew, chew, swallow, drink. That means that the stomach doesn't have teeth. So partially digested food goes in the intestine, and then some of that gets absorbed into your bloodstream. When that happens, your whole immune system goes on full alert and attacks this object. It doesn't know that you just haven't eaten your food properly. Now, it's used to attacking viruses and bacteria. Now, you have 2 parts of your immune system. You have your cell-mediated immune system, like your T cells, your lymphocytes, and you have the humoral immune system, where you create antibodies. Both of those are supercharged when you eat something it doesn't recognize. It just knows there's a massive bad thing here, let's kill it. That means you're constantly overstimulating the immune system, depressing the immune system in time, so when you need your immunity, you may not have it, all because you didn't take your time to slow down, eat properly, and stop drinking the beverages with the meal. If you want a beverage with a meal, have a juice. You can have a great green juice, celery, and cucumber, and cabbage and ginger and cayenne and tomato. Now that will digest perfectly with the body. And take your time. Stop watching television or listening to radio or on the cell phone or having an argument. Take your time and enjoy the meal that you're going to eat. Now, once we understand that we should be going into health food stores or supermarkets and asking, where are your beans, where are your legumes? Now, one of these legumes is a superfood. It is soy. Now, all over the Orient, in Japan and China, soy is very common. In fact, they don't drink cow's milk. It's the exception, not the rule. In America, we drink cow's milk and rarely soy milk. In Japan, they have more Japanese drinking soy milk each day than we have Americans drinking cow's milk. Now, soy milk is wonderful for us. And soy, there are about 5,500 studies in the scientific literature showing what it does. And there's a controversy now. There's a group of people who are trying to say, don't drink soy, don't eat soy. So I look carefully at the evidence. And based upon reviewing over 5,000 studies, even excluding those that were pro-industry supported, just objective science, 98% of the studies showed a positive impact, and especially in the Orient when it came to menopause and andropause, and helping men keep their prostate down, and women who rarely get breast cancer at the rates we do. And many women in Japan and China go through menopause with no adverse effects at all. I think that's very important. Soy is a part of their diet, as is sea vegetables, starchy vegetables, and we're just not eating that in our society. So soy, now soy comes in many forms. Tofu, which most of you are familiar with. Tempeh, which is a fermented soy and has a higher protein. And a lot of people who want to start on soy, if they have like a tofu burger. Now you go into the health food stores now and they're already made up for you. They have mastered the art of making these foods taste good. They have them barbecued, they have them Thai style, they have Italian style, Mexican style. So whatever type you want, based upon your taste preferences, a Tex-Mex, you can find that. And that's wonderful. And they've even taken all these and they've made meals. Now you can go into a health food store and you'll find any one of these beans or grains or legumes already made. All you do is just heat it up. So we have grains and legumes and beans, and then we have peppers. We didn't eat many peppers where I grew up, but peppers are extremely rich. It's the color. Any fruit or vegetable that has a very pronounced color, like reds and yellows and purples, that's chlorophyll. That's phytonutrients. Now, phyto means plant-based nutrients. One single food may have 200, even 250 different phytonutrients. And what we now know is the phytonutrients in your reds help repair DNA. So the more reds you have, the healthier your DNA is going to be. Now, why do we get old? Why does our skin sag and our cells get depleted and we start to kind of wither away? Because our DNA is aged prematurely. When you start eating and juicing from these food groups, you're actually helping to slow down the aging process, because you're not eating this that causes free radicals and inflammation. You're eating this that turns off free radicals because it's rich in antioxidants. And an antioxidant like vitamin C from here goes through the blood, and here's a free radical. It attaches to it and neutralizes it. So the more antioxidants you have throughout the day, the less damage you have from free radicals. So remember that. And this has almost as much vitamin C as an orange, but it has different nutrients in an orange. So your peppers are important, but also veggie dogs. They're made from tofu. They taste as good as a hot dog and have only natural, organic, and healthy ingredients. And here is a tofu cheese that has no casein. It's non-allergenic, and that's the wonderful thing about eating from this group. It's low allergenic. And a lot of people today are realizing, gee whiz, you mean my gas and distension and bloating, constipation, a lot of the pressure diseases in my intestine came because I'm allergic to wheat, the gluten in wheat? And the answer is yes. In and of itself, wheat is not bad, but because we use it in so many different products and almost every day, we develop an allergic reaction to it. I used to love to eat an apple, but every time I did, my eyes would get very red, my earlobes would get red, and I'd get very itchy in my throat, and it would last about 2 hours. And I hadn't eaten apples in quite some time. So I was upstate, and I went to an orchard. It was a beautiful orchard. It was in a place called Goshen, and the orchard sat on a little hill, so you could see about 50 miles around. And it was a wonderful summer day, late summer, and there were some apples, and I went over and I just said, what the heck, I'm going to eat this. So I ate that apple, and nothing happened. I thought, well, that's strange. So I took 2 or 3 apples, and the rest of the day I ate those apples. Nothing happened. The next day, I'm feeling great. When I walk out of my apartment, I go over and there's a produce stand, I took an apple. And immediately, within 5 minutes of eating it, itchiness in the throat, redness here, redness here. What happened? So I tried 3 more times that week. I ate apples and I ate oranges, both of which I couldn't eat. Same reaction. And then I realized it wasn't the apple or the orange. It was what was on it. The one I had upstate hadn't been sprayed. Apples are heavily sprayed. And then they're frequently picked immature, and then they're protected with a paraffin wax. My body was reacting to the chemicals on the fruit. Same thing with oranges. Oranges are frequently picked green, gassed, so that they prematurely ripen, but they lack the sweetness of a true vine ripened, and then died. Now, I have an orchard now down in Florida. I grow over 40 different varieties of fruits, all organic. Oranges are never orange. They're orange where the sun hits them, and they're generally green and brown speckles on the part that the sun doesn't hit. Well, I wouldn't mind eating that, but the average person says, ooh, this doesn't look right. So we actually are conditioned to eat things that are not good. And another thing, when you buy locally, and you buy from local farmers, they're harvesting that and bring it in the same day. Now, if you were to buy a tomato, have you noticed that tomatoes taste like cardboard today? And do you remember the times when you had cut in tomato and it'd be rich and wonderful, the orbs just burst in your mouth, and you thought, wow, that's really good? That's because more often than not, many of our fruits and vegetables are harvested before they've had a chance to fully mature on the vine. The maturation of a fruit or vegetable on the vine means that the enzymes have had a chance to fully mature. It is the enzymatic action in the process of sun and irrigation of water that causes the richness of flavor. Factory farming, high commercial farming, means it's not ripening naturally. That's why, for instance, when you're down in Georgia and you pick a local Georgia peach, it's delicious. And then you get a peach that isn't vine ripened, it's tasteless, it's pithy. This is an organically grown, locally grown tomato. It was allowed to ripen on the vine. Now, we know tomatoes as a superfood. And as a superfood, I want to have this regularly. Now, how can I have this tomato? I could make a gazpacho with it. I could throw this in a blender with some garlic and onion and cayenne, a little horseradish, and it would be wonderful as a drink. Spicy, grabs your tongue, throws it 3 times around your mouth, and all the way down you think, whew, that was delicious. Or I could have it in tomato soup with some fresh basil in it. But there's no shortages of how to make this wonderful and magical fruit, and tomatoes are fruits, a part of your diet. Remember, the redder the skin, the greater the healing. And lycopene is an important nutrient, but not the only nutrient. There are over 100 different phytonutrients in this single tomato, and each one of them plays a role in helping your cells. Some are antiviral, antibacterial, some are immune modulating, others are cell protective or naturally chelating. Well, I want as much tomatoes as I can use. Oranges are terrific. Oranges not just give you vitamin C, but I believe in juicing the whole orange. Now, when you juice the skin of the orange, you're getting anti-cancer agents in the skin. Now, when you open up an orange and you look inside, well, this, all the white that you see, that is bioflavonoids. And bioflavonoids help heal the microcapillaries that burst on your face, little splotches, on your legs, the spider veins, bruising. That's all help with bioflavonoids. So vitamin C and bioflavonoids, but also what are called phyto, meaning plant-based nutrients, over 120 different phytonutrients in the orange. So juice the whole thing. Now, it might be a little different taste from what you're used to, but remember, in the seed and the skin, you actually have more nutrients that are healing than in the flesh. That's true with lemons, limes, grapefruits, and oranges. Throw a little raw honey in. And by the way, one of nature's most perfect foods is honey. Honey is the only food that will never go bad. And it's antibacterial, antiviral. You ever get a sore throat, take some hot green tea and pour a tablespoon of honey in, some bee propolis, stir it around, and drink it slowly, and it will soothe the throat and kill bacteria in the throat as well. And then you have the mystical, magical blueberry. Wild blueberries are quite simply one of the most powerful anti-cancer, immune modulating, healing foods on earth. And it gets my vote for the #1 fiber in the American diet. When you consume blueberries, it expands. And as it expands into a very soft, gelatinous-like fiber in the intestine, it cleans the intestine as it sweeps through. The pigment in here is great for your eyes, it's great for your brain, terrific for your heart and your immune system. I would say have maybe an ounce or two of almonds or walnuts, either one. Walnuts, by the way, are great for your heart. In fact, there was a study of Seventh-day Adventists that showed that those who had 5 ounces of walnuts per week had a lower incidence of heart disease. I would say have at least a pint of blueberries a day. And one of the things I do is I take berries. And by the way, all the berries are healing. That means that we can add blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, cherries, tart cherries, the Montmorency cherries, cranberries, boysenberries, as well as currants, red currants and black currants, into our diet. And goji berries, terrifically important, as are wolfberries and mangosteen. Now, the average American's not going to consume all these. First, they're not available everywhere, but you can buy them frozen. Now, here's the key. Frozen is frequently better than fresh. Remember, you do not lose the antioxidants, you don't lose the phytonutrients, you don't lose the chlorophyll or fiber when you're thawing something that's frozen. So, fresh locally, frozen, both good. And also with frozen, you have almost everything available. Now, let's say I couldn't get the blueberries fresh. I can always get concentrates. Now, I advocate concentrates because in the morning I make a big shake, and in it I put rice milk, and then I put a scoop of protein powder made from non-genetically engineered rice or soy. I then add berries, any and all I can. If I don't have the berries, I always have the concentrates, mango concentrate and cherry concentrate, blueberry and boysenberry, and pomegranate. Pomegranate is terrific for your whole defense mechanism. It helps protect the epithelial lining of your arteries. It's super, super healing inside the body. But who's going to find a pomegranate? First, they're only seasonal, once a year in the fall. When you open them up, you get these tiny little red gelatinous seeds, and they're a mess. But when you buy a pomegranate concentrate, they've taken the pomegranate, squeezed them, evaporated off a lot of the water, so you get a real concentrated kick from it. So a tablespoon of pomegranate in that, and cherry concentrate in that, and the other berries in that, and then put a tablespoon of fresh flaxseed oil in there. Whoa, you have a terrific way to start the day.